Tonight on ELN Local News.
Someone accessing your computer without permission. It happened to 2 ELN students, and we have the story.
If it can happen at Chapel Hill, it can happen anywhere.
Find out why a death 45 miles down the road can mean so much to the ELN community.
And later in the show, ELN Town Police playing cards with elementary school students.
I'm Katie Merrigan.
And I'm Steve Roth. ELN Local News starts right now.
Thanks for joining us.
Here's tonight's top story.
Alcohol law enforcement, better known to students as ALE, was on campus this weekend. I talked with members of the community to see how they felt about the visitors on campus. Driving on campus on Thursday, you would have noticed a strong police presence. And if you didn't, social media would have told you so. One person writes, ALE, they're life ruiners, they ruin lives. The second, everyone at ELN be very careful, the ALE are out in full force. And finally, if at ELN University and out and about tonight, watch out for ALE and ELN PD. They're apparently everywhere and on bikes. Be safe. Members of the ALE are undercover agents for North Carolina's Department of Public Safety. And while students know the police are out looking for underage drinking, that's not the group's only function.
They are charged with all alcohol laws of North Carolina, so the transportation, the selling, underage possession, if you sell to underage people. They also work tobacco, they do some firearms stuff, gambling. So it is more than just alcohol law enforcement.
Lieutenant Ring says ALE isn't out to get students.
ALE does not call us up and go, hey, this huge operation where we're going to target students and we're going to come in and do this. It is always a joint operation.
But Senior Megan Alexandria's recent encounter with ALE makes her think otherwise.
The guy was really, really rude. He kept shining his flashlight in my face, and he kept snatching my ID and stuff from me. And
Alexandria understands that ALE looks to protect the community, but she thinks they could be more respectful while doing it.
I don't care. They have a job to do. You have to do your job. It's an important job, granted. I mean, it's not ideal for college students, but it's an important job nonetheless.
Since ALE caused a stir this weekend, we looked into myths about the agency. The first myth, if you ask an officer if he is ALE, the officer must say yes. This is true. Officers are not allowed to trick students. They must admit to being with ALE if asked. Another myth is that members of ALE are 30-year-old men who dress similarly to college students. This is partially true. ALE do go undercover, but not all officers are men. There are female ALE officers too. And finally, the myth that the university always announces when ALE is coming to campus is false. ELN Town Police told me that ALE has been on campus earlier this year, and they are not required to announce when alcohol law enforcement is in town.
Two computers hacked and still no answers. Joe Bruno joins us in the studio with more. Joe?
Steve, think about this. Personal files, pictures, and information are jeopardized when a computer hacker strikes. So it's really something really never thought about, but for 2 girls, it was reality.
Sierra Martinez was on her computer in class.
My mouse just started acting like it had a mind of its own.
So she shut down her computer and went to the Alpha Kappa Alpha house.
I opened my computer and I realized that there was a new folder on my desktop that I didn't create.
It was then she realized her computer wasn't just acting funny, but a hacker was on the prowl.
The person who had accessed my computer started playing chess, which was kind of awkward, and they created 2 more folders, and they accessed my FaceTime.
When the hacker opened FaceTime, Martinez didn't panic. She took a Post-it note and placed it over the camera before turning the computer off. But the hacker didn't stop with Martinez. Kim Edwards, her sorority sister, was hacked at the same time.
I don't think the sorority's being targeted. I think they just found Kim and I, and they're like, hey.
Both Edwards and Martinez were on unsecure networks. The sorority sisters reported the incident to campus safety and police, but because the investigation is ongoing, campus police declined to comment.
Martinez and Jackson have both gotten their computers fixed and say the invasion of privacy was a good lesson in not letting your guard down.
And Joe, if students are wondering how can they protect themselves from their computers being hacked?
The most important thing, Steve, is to make sure you're on a secure network. Now, I know a lot of students live off campus, and they think they can set up an account and not have a password on their wireless. So the most important thing is to have a password on your wireless, and you also have to make sure your OS and your Windows PCs are updated to the latest date. Now, also one thing to be known, Mac computers aren't necessarily immune to hackers. As you can see, Sierra Martinez had a Mac, and she herself had a hacker.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Here's a story you heard first on ELN. Burlington's Rosie Suggs has been missing for more than a week. 9-year-old Suggs was last seen in Greensboro, and the disappearance has a close connection to the Elon community. Our Scarlett Fakar has more.
Rosie is related to Elon's communications internship coordinator, Nagatha Tompkins. The family has been posting flyers and asking everyone in the Burlington community to help in the search.
All we're asking for is if someone could call us if you come in contact with her, or maybe see her vehicle, and she's got personalized tags, and it should be easy to identify.
Last week, Rosie's nephew and niece, Shane and Rochelle Suffern, went to her home and realized she was missing. Both her car and poodle were also gone.
She has a close-knit family, and she actually calls someone every day to communicate with them, and I can't imagine her not being able to communicate with a family member.
Suffern says the last phone signal from Rosie was near South Boston, Virginia, more than an hour away from Burlington.
I'm telling the kids she couldn't disappear into midair. So detectives and everybody's been trying to locate her, and it's just been rough, period.
Family members say that Rosie has slight dementia. She has been having trouble finding her way around.
She is very caring and loving, and we sure do miss her a lot.
The family is offering a $2,000 reward for information that leads to finding Suggs. We'll stay on top of the story. If anyone with information regarding Suggs is asked to call the Burlington Police Department at 336-229-7100. Here's a story making headlines today. Holden Thorpe will step down as Chancellor of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. The news comes after a scandal involving improper use of travel funds. The NCAA is investigating the university's Vice Chancellor for Advancement, Matt Kupek, and Tammy Hansborough, a major gifts officer and mother of a former UNC basketball star. The two are under suspicion for using fundraising money to take personal trips together. This is the second scandal involving Tar Heel athletics. Last year, a probe found that a tutor had written term papers for the football team. The UNC Board of Governors met with Thorpe Friday and worked out a deal allowing him to resign after the reports were thoroughly investigated.
And more news from the Chapel Hill campus. The university is mourning the loss of a student. UNC is no stranger to homicides. Eve Carson was murdered there in 2008. And with the most recent tragedy, Brian Mazurski shares how a death at another campus impacts any university.
She was a 19-year-old student at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and the circumstances surrounding Faith Hedgepeth's death are still unclear. According to police, she was found dead inside her university apartment around 11 a.m. last Friday. Police have not released specific details about her death, but say her death wasn't accidental or self-inflicted. After the death of Faith Hedgepeth, I spoke with Chaplain Jan Fuller about why a death at UNC Chapel Hill matters to Elon students.
That a human being could kill another human being is really unnerving, and that might happen in a community where we live.
Thousands attended Faith Hedgepeth's funeral Wednesday in her hometown, and vigils were held last week at Chapel Hill and her high school in Warren County.
That's always a bit of a shakeup for college students because, you know, on a college campus, we're thinking about the future. We're oriented towards hope, and we're a young culture, and we don't think about death.
Fuller says some on campus are closely connected to UNC. Some students and faculty live in the Chapel Hill community, and she says we need to be supportive.
It's going to change their lives. It may not change my life or your life, but it's going to change a lot of lives. And there's going to be a lot of heartache and heartbreak in this, and we ought to feel something for that.
Investigators are waiting on a preliminary autopsy to know exactly how Hedgepeth died. Brian Mazursky, ELN Local News.
The University of North Carolina Chapel Hill Board of Trustees is offering a $25,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of the person responsible for Faith Hedgepeth's death. The Chapel Hill Police Department is asking anyone with information to call their tip line at 919-614-6363.
And when you're needing your space.
Coming up on ELN Local News, he writes his own music. We'll introduce you to one ELN student that is the challenges he's faced.
Later in sports, the football team took on the West Virginia State Yellow Jackets. We've got the highlights later on. Stick with us. Flu season is quickly approaching, and Julie Morse is here with some tips on staying above the weather. Julie?
Getting sick is not on the long to-do list for ELN students, so we have a few tips to keep you out of the health center. First, take your vitamins, and I don't mean those Flintstone vitamins. We're talking vitamins A and C. And if you don't want to take supplements, you can get vitamin A from orange and green vegetables. For vitamin C, eat all kinds of fruit and drink fruit juices. Let's talk about the Z's. With all the homework, meetings, and events, sleep gets put on the back burner for many students. But studies say sleep leads to better mental and physical health, and you should try to get at least 7 hours of sleep a night. One more way to not get sick is exercise. Use the health center, walk to class, don't drive. Even the smallest bit of exercise will help your immune system. And hey, you might even look a little better. Of course, if you are feeling sick, the RN Ellington Health and Counseling Center is open Monday through Friday and for limited hours on Saturday. Back to you guys.
An incident that occurred last week in the Carolina dorm has freshman girls on edge. A dead snake was found in their second-floor water fountain by housekeeper Angel Smith. Smith also cleaned up the excess amount of toilet paper and silly string left in the halls the previous night. Some girls living in Carolina think their neighbors, the boys of Smith, are to blame. Angel Smith thinks the pranks are childish.
You're becoming young adults. You should start acting like young adults instead of pranksters and toddlers.
Adjusting to college is hard enough, but one student on ELN's campus had something else on his mind. Jeff Ackerman has more.
And when you're needing your space.
If you spend some time with freshman Shane Dittmar, you'll quickly notice he has a passion for singing.
I'll be here patiently.
Spend some more time and maybe then you'll notice what's different about this musician.
We were born blind, mostly blind. We're not completely blind.
The 18-year-old singer and piano player was born with Leber's congenital amaurosis, a disease that left both him and his twin brother blind since birth.
A lot of people look at it and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a blind kid. And I'm like, no, I'm Shane.
Growing up, his eyesight never changed, and neither did his love for music. He says he's been singing ever since he was born, and even taught himself how to play piano. His journey eventually led him to ELN. He's a music major and involved in all 3 university choirs.
Everyone told me how pretty the campus was, so I had a feeling I was supposed to fall in love with it because it was beautiful.
Going to college comes with challenges, and coming in with a visual disability made it even harder. He uses textbooks and a phone that talk to him, but the main thing that being blind has taught him:
not letting it be my life.
Writing and playing piano consume most of his day.
It feels free, I guess. It feels like it's a really great way to express, to sort of just let things out.
Even the stars, they burn.
For Dittmar, being blind isn't who he is, it's what has led him to something bigger.
I'm not sure if I would have done as much music as I have if I wasn't so passionately into listening.
Jeff Ackerman, ELN Local News.
Black Entertainment Television nominated sophomore Yasmin Arrington as a girl making a difference. Arrington founded Scholarchips, an organization providing college scholarships for children with incarcerated parents. If Arrington gets the most votes, she will be featured on BET's Black Girls Rock show and receive a grant for scholarships.
To me, it would be a breakthrough, because it would mean that like all the hard work that I put in thus far, and I will continue to, wasn't in vain.
You can still vote for Yasmin online until Tuesday. Check out elonlocalnews.com for a link of the website.
Hispanic students gathered outside of Mosley this weekend to celebrate Independence Day for Central America. Reporter Naima Abdullahi discovered a new buzz in the Latina community that could change their ELN experience.
ELN's Latino students come from different Spanish-speaking countries, and for these students, communication is more than just words. Junior Ana Julia Alamonte describes the feeling when she hears Latin music.
A large part of my culture is defined by music and dancing. Like, I just feel like that's how we communicate sometimes.
Although they had to adapt to a new environment, Latino students here at ELN are still finding ways to celebrate their culture.
And so no matter, if we're from El Salvador or, Mexican American, we can still connect through music and through food and through that feeling of family and community.
That community may soon be changing. Sophomore Nicole Payne and a few other Hispanic students want to expand their experience at ELN. They want to start a Hispanic sorority. And Director of Greek Life, Shanna Plaster, sees the benefits of the cultural organization.
So we're real excited about that. We think it would add a lot to the Greek community.
But not all the Latina community is interested. Senior Stephanie Alvarez says she would not join the sorority.
If everyone is segmented by their own culture, that just means no one is getting together from different races.
But Payne disagrees.
I think it's something very important for us to do because as a Hispanic community in the United States, we're now a part of the United States. And we need to be able to say, hey, we're here to the rest of the culture.
Despite opposition, Plasters believes that students will be able to gain an experience that complements their culture.
If there is a void and they see that, they want to explore how they can be a part of filling that void. And that's exciting, and that doesn't happen on every campus.
Naima Abdullahi, ELN Local News.
Still to come on ELN Local News. Find out what the new collector's item is among ELN elementary school students after the break.
The women's volleyball team was back at it this week. Stay with us to see how they fared.
In the town of ELN aren't going crazy over baseball cards, they're collecting a different trading card.
We just try to collect the cards, and if we get all of them, we get to go to this party, and it's really fun.
Case Parker is a third grader at ELN Elementary. He's one of many students competing in ELN Town Police's trading card program. The lucky winners get a pizza party. Kids collect the trading card of each police officer and staff member by talking with each of them. The goal of the program is to encourage interaction between children and police officers.
These are the kids that are going to grow up and be members of our community. So if we can instill that rapport now, when they get older, they'll hopefully still trust the police and be able to feel like they can talk to them if they have a problem.
To get cards, kids can approach officers at the police station, around town, or at school when the kids get off their buses. The students, though, are told to avoid asking for the cards when an officer is involved in an emergency. Some kids are too excited to remember that.
We were actually working a traffic collision, and it was very, very heated. Both parties were arguing, and I'm trying to separate them. And this kid literally comes up, and and then I look down, and there he is. He says, "Can I have your trading card?" And I'm like, "Hold on, just 1 minute." So we had to get everything straightened out. Then, of course, we were able to give it to him.
Parker says he's following all the rules and looks to be on his way to that pizza party.
Yep, that's all of them.
All right, what do you say? Thank you.
You're very welcome.
The ELN Town Police will also host an Autumn Bash this Saturday with games and emergency demonstrations. Contact Detective Brian Roof for more at 336-266-1807.
This year's organization fair introduced a new club for students with a love for automotives, whether they came to ELN with a car or not. What began as a few friends admiring cars in the parking lot has now developed into ELN's official car club. It caters to car enthusiasts and beginners alike. In fact, you don't even need a car to join, just an interest in learning about them. Members cannot hold races or demonstrations using their cars because of the ELN's insurance policies. But that hasn't discouraged co-founder Taylor Davis from making future plans and holding events.
for people who, say, don't know how to drive stick, a class to teach people how to drive stick. Not necessarily get in one of our cars and do it, but show how to do it on a screen or something and have people get the feel for it, or at least have an idea of how to do it. And also maybe a seminar to teach people how to, check their tires, stuff like that, because a lot of people don't even know how to do that.
The 25th annual Burlington Carousel Festival spun into town this past weekend. The centerpiece of the festival, the Densel Family Carousel, is more than 100 years old and sits in Burlington City Park. The festival also featured games, vendors, parades, musical groups, and artwork.
Jamie Daffner is here to tell us what's coming up in sports.
Coming up next, I'll talk with basketball stars Austin Hamilton and Jack Eisenbarger as we discuss the upcoming season. Also in other sports, ELN hosted Francis Marion in women's soccer yesterday. We have all the action coming up. The football team was back at it on Saturday to face off against the West Virginia State Yellow Jackets. Coming into this game, ELN had an all-time 11-1 record against opponents from the WVIAC, the Yellow Jackets Conference. On Saturday, history would repeat itself. The Phoenix were pumped up and ready to go, looking to have a winning record on the season. The offense was rolling all day on Saturday. Here early in the first quarter, Thomas Wilson finds Rasan Rory, who breaks a tackle and gets in the end zone for a 17-yard passing score. Later in the quarter, on the ground now, Carl Bostic is going to find the hole right up the middle and take it all the way for a 43-yard touchdown. Just a few minutes later, Wilson would put the ball back in the air, finding his favorite target, Aaron Millette, on the fade for the score that would put ELN up 21-0. The senior receiver was quiet during the first 2 games of the year, but turned it up a notch on Saturday. Millette caught 9 balls for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns while only playing in the first half. He only played in the first half because this one was a blowout. Chris Harris would be the recipient of another Wilson touchdown pass, and the Phoenix would go on to stop the Yellow Jackets 48-14. ELN took on the High Point Panthers in women's volleyball on Tuesday. The ladies started out strong, winning the first set 25-18. But that lead did not last, as High Point went on to win the next 3 consecutive sets by 8, 10, and then 13 points. They did make up for it this weekend when they snapped their 2-match losing streak by sweeping Hampton and Howard during the Colonial Challenge tournament. The women's volleyball team will play their first conference match on Thursday against UNC Greensboro in Alumni Gym. ELN took on the High Point Panthers in women's volleyball on Tuesday. The ladies started out strong, winning the first set 25-14. Actually, we're going to get you to women's soccer now. The pass goes right in front of the goal, but no one could put that one away. Katie Malik had a shot on goal, but that one was stopped as well. High Point had the chance to score as well, but ELN keeper Katie Murphy saved the day there. Later in the game, in the 76th minute, Dolly Olliewall scored the goal for the Phoenix, and they would hold on for the 1-0 lead. We're here with ELN basketball players Austin Hamilton and Jack Eisenbarger. Austin, what's the biggest challenge that you guys face in the upcoming season?
Biggest challenge is probably against Duke. We're very excited for that game, playing at Cameron indoors, so can't wait for that. What makes Duke so hard to face up against? Just their crowd. The whole atmosphere is crazy. Playing against Coach K is something special. That's the greatest basketball coach to ever coach, so we're very excited for that.
Jack, thinking about the start of last season, how has the team improved now coming into the beginning of this season?
I think our leadership has stepped up a ton, and this year we have a lot more veterans, only losing 1 senior from last year, so I think that's going to be a huge improvement for us.
So does experience from playing with each other now for a year and even longer contribute to that improvement?
Definitely. I think the chemistry has improved among our teammates, and even off the court, and that will translate onto the court too, and give us a big boost for this season.
Austin, I think we're all wondering, how is the health of your wrist?
Oh, my wrist is fine. I've started rehabbing, so I'll be back in no time.
Good. I think we're all glad to hear that. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
That's all we have for you this week.
But the news never stops on our website, elonlocalnews.com.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ELN Local News and like us on Facebook.
Thanks for watching. Have a great week, ELN.